Hello fellow YouTube watchers and welcome to my video about variable types. So let's start off by talking about the variable type that we have used in the previous tutorials, int, which stands for integer. So any variable with the variable type int lets us store values with whole numbers only. So if you have one called x, we can only equal that to 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 and so on. And it also works for negative numbers, so -1, -2, -3, and so on. But it doesn't work all the way up to infinity. Actually, it has a limit, and depending on which variable type it is, it has different limits. So, but I don't remember the exact limit for int, but you can look it up on the internet. Just type in limit for variable types in Java, or I mean, it's the same almost for every language out there. So, but I want to talk about decimals. Why can't you use decimals when we have an integer? Well, it's to save space actually. We want to create a variable type which doesn't use decimals, so we can save space, because sometimes when we write down programs where we don't need decimals, we want it to go a little faster. We want it to actually process faster, so we use variable types that don't use decimals instead of having just used up space for nothing. So if we want to use a decimal point, we can't use integer. We need to use double, which stands for double precision. So if we go ahead and do one, call it y, we can equal that one to 10.54, no, yeah, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. And now I want to talk about some type changes. So if let's say you want to add x to y, that works perfect. That works perfectly great. So if we take y plus equals x, and then go ahead and print out that. Let's print out y. Go ahead and save it, compile it, and run it. So you see, we get just what we expected. We had this and we added on 2. So we get the same decimals, but with a 12 on the left side of the decimal point instead of 10. So that works just fine. We have a double, we added on integer, that works fine. But let's say you wanted to do the exact opposite. So you have x plus equals y. How would that work? If we print out x, and let's go ahead and save this. General direct. It just prints out 12. It doesn't round or anything. If we go ahead and put down 5 there and save it and compile it. Oops. It still prints out 12. So it doesn't round. What it does actually, it chops off the decimals just right here. You just take this and just delete it, and then they're gone. So that's what this do. So I don't think you can round numbers by using that. If you need to round, you need to use different functions and methods and stuff like that. So now when we got that sorted out, I want to talk to you guys about another variable type, a one called string. So if we have one equal to s, no, a string, well, actually it can be equal to s. What do you know? So well, let's equal this to hello YouTube, and then come down and print that out. Yes. Compile it. Oops. Little mistake there. Compile it again. Direct. Hello YouTube. We got just what we expected. But now we have two variables that we haven't used, so let's use these two. We want to print out those, but not like we've done before. We want to actually just type out s here in the system.out.println. So we need to add these ones as strings to s. So what we can do actually, we can take let's make it in the declaration line. So plus x plus y. So remember that s is a string. So whenever you have a string and you add on variables, these will also convert into strings. You can actually continue here and add your own string. But remember, you need to have your own quotation marks in order to add these variables. So if we save this and run it, you see we get hello YouTube 2 1 10 0. Well, it prints out the 2 and then 10 just right after each other. We don't have any well, actually we can if we add another there, just a space in between. Jealousy direct. So we get the 2 there and the 10 there, separated by a space. So this won't work if you have just x plus y there. It won't print it out because we don't have, these won't change into strings. So if we go ahead and compile this, we'll get an error. You see it says incompatible types, and that's correct, but what will work actually, if we just add these quotation marks here and compile it and run it, it will work just fine. So you can't just put in whatever type you want into other types and don't expect a difference. It will actually Java will change some things for you. It'll either chop out the decimals or convert these into strings. So s will be actually converted into a string now. It won't equal to 210. That is actually a string. So there's another type, variable type, that I would like to discuss with you, and that's char. If we make one and call it k, and let's initialize it and set it equal to k. So what char is actually, it's a variable type that lets you store single characters actually, single characters. So you can't use quotation marks for this. You have to use the single quotation marks, so not double quotation marks, the single ones. And this is equal to k. Now if we go ahead and print this out, pilot and then run it, you get k, just like we expected. And actually there are a few other types, but I'll talk about those in later tutorials. These are the ones we're going to use for a while now. So yeah, that's it. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next tutorial.